And good Monday morning to you, Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com. It represents 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. So I thought I'd kind of focus in on pollution sources. This is a sulfur dioxide mass, and it's a good measurement, a good metric to use. And this is done on about a month ago, about the 20th of March. And so I just thought I'd kind of show you what's going on. So we thought that the Wuhan virus might have that originated in China, as we know. We'd see less pollution sources. Not really so. There's still quite a few coal-fired power plants with a lot of emissions. You can see how that emission gets carried over by different weather systems. So just taking a little bit of a tour here. Now this is interesting because it does show the source regions for any coal-fired power plants. You can really see them. It shows up very well. It also picks up even aircraft travel. For example, from Vancouver, Seattle, flying across the Pacific. You can see here San Francisco, and then flying across, and you can see even over toward Hawaii if you look very carefully. The few flights that are flying now out of San Francisco to Hawaii and back, and also Los Angeles, you can see a little bit of a shade there. Kind of interesting. And of course, just taking Hawaii's example, you can see the most pollution sources coming out of Oahu with kind of a southeasterly trade wind. Right now, there's no active emissions coming out of Kilauea area, the volcanoes, of course, on the Big Island of Hawaii. Now, in terms of our neck of the woods, again, this is about a month ago, kind of comparing notes here. There's still a considerable amount of pollution sources upstream, and any kind of a southwesterly flow is the worst for the northeast United States. Again, this is sulfur dioxide emissions. How does that look? And this is a very sensitive kind of metric here, and so when it picks up the airlines, the travel corridors of where many planes fly, it kind of gives you an idea just how sensitive it is. Not really showing up as strongly the inbound, outbound to Europe right now, a little bit, and there's been a lot of curtailment there, so you can see a little bit less. Now, looking at Europe, once again, Europe is ahead of the United States in terms of knocking down its pollution sources, but it still unloads a fair amount of pollution. Unfortunately for us, humanity is still on the track. Someday we'll look at this and hardly see any of these pollution sources. India, again, this is about the 20th of March. You can see a lot of those pollution sources. It banks up along the Himalayas, some very polluted areas in northern parts of India. And then, of course, we're looking at China. Let's take a look at about a month later. Okay, zooming to 1 month later. This is 4:20 this morning, 11Z. That's about 7 o'clock this morning. And this is what China's showing. It's not quite as bad, actually, and things might have actually gotten better, maybe worse for a time, and then better, and then back to what we're seeing here. So let's take a look at North America, of course, with COVID-19. First off, right off the bat, I can see that you can really see the flights out of Hawaii, kind of a little bit of a metric to use there. But here's our pollution sources right now. A lot of business up in parts of Canada and certain particular areas, source regions. This is a very sensitive metric, so you can see this sulfur dioxide mass really does pick up well with this telemetry from satellite passover. And this is what we're looking at this morning. It's kind of a comparable right now. I can't say that I see a huge difference. Maybe in Europe a little bit less. In fact, I would say Europe is doing the best of the main continents for pollution sources. They seem to be having better regulations on their coal-fired power plants and whatnot. China, we need to get our act together with China, and certainly not to mention North America. We have the areas around West Virginia, Ohio Valley, Kentucky. You can see these source regions. Anytime we get that southwesterly flow, it comes right in the northeast United States, including pristine Vermont. It doesn't emit that kind of business, but it is what it is. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.